Hmm. All right, good day, good day, good day, good people. So excited to be in company and presence with you. I hope that you are holding up well today. We are going to have an exciting yet all right, good day, good day, good day, good
Very
people. So excited to be in company and presence with you. I hope that you are holding up well today. Um, we are going to have an exciting yet
all
all
right.
right, good day, good day, good day.
I'm
Very
also just
people.
making sure
Excited
I
to
can also
be
hear
in company and presence with you. I
all
hope
of
that
the
you are holding up well
live
today.
stream that's going on. So I got a couple of tools in play, but all is well. So I'm Craig Aaron's Martin from CCM Ed Group. Excited to actually see some folks that I know and adore who are from all over. Hello, Monica. Hello, Shantae. We are going to go ahead and get right on into it because we only have a short time. So I'm going to go ahead and also record this wonderful conversation. So we got folks on YouTube, we got folks who are located on LinkedIn Live. We have some folks here in the Zoom. So we are just gonna go ahead and jump right on into it today. So I'm gonna show my screen, and I have multiple things happening today, which is always beautiful. Um, but today I'm going to be leading a conversation on leading with ease, streamlined observations, and lasting connections. And the ultimate goal here is just to bolster your toolkit. So for all of those who are doing incredible work on behalf of the young people we serve across this nation who deserve every tool, every strategy, every support we can put in place to ensure they thrive. This is a great opportunity to support school leaders, coaches, and others who are working with teachers on the ground in the trenches that ensure that instruction is solid, but also know that there are some really interesting tricks and tools we can use to activate absolutely incredible instructional vision while balancing out the natural challenges that come up with running schools. So today we are going to be talking about what's your vision, where's your Avenger squad, how presence matters, letting the data speak for itself, and then what are the ways you can connect with us. And so, for those who are joining us today from wherever you are, you have the opportunity to also benefit from a one on one coaching session with me just because you showed up. Or that you left a comment. And so make sure that as you see this content towards the latter part of our presentation today, you'll have a perfect opportunity to say, hey, Craig, I would love to lean into this one problem or challenge that I have. And I am really excited to be able to walk through that with you. Okay. So just some quick background on me, Craig Aaron's Martin. I am the CEO of CCM Education Group. I'm a Boston Educator of the Year, Massachusetts Elementary Principal of the Year, and nationally distinguished principal. I'm also I was an executive director and superintendent of a pre-K through 8 community. I'm a podcaster, I'm a husband, and I'm a Southerner from New Orleans, Louisiana. And so love to just have people put in the chat wherever you are. Um, where you are from and what role you serve, because that'll be helpful. But some of the other things that I think are important, just so that you know why it is I'm having this conversation with folks. During my time and tenure, I've seen young people grow by 320%. In their academic performance. We've actually reversed achievement gaps for English language learners, Latino scholars, and we also were able to curb a great deal of the gap between our white students and our African American students as well. And we had 2 years of retention, 100% teacher retention in a row. And in today's environment, that's unheard of to know that you actually have, teachers who say, "Hey, I'm signed on, I'm ready, I'm connected to the vision," and that is, some of the outcomes that I think are important to understand why it is that I'm having this conversation with you today. So I just asked some folks who are in Zoom or in the LinkedIn room, or if you're on YouTube, if you could just share what your role is. And so I'm gonna check into the chat rooms, and I see we have. uh, dean of students and aspiring principal. All right. I also know we have another former superintendent I see in the audience as well. I see a couple of principals and coaches on a couple of the other platforms, whether or not it's YouTube. And so I'm really excited to see there's such a dynamic group of folks who are here. And so no matter what your role is, I hope that you are going to get some really great gems from today's session. So, what I'm going to share is what I call the CCM transformation process. This is about vision, this is about squad, this is about presence, and this is about data. These have been part of the recipe for success under my leadership and in the experiences I've had. It's important to have a strong vision that you can get the entire community to galvanize around. And when people know this is where we're going, and you promote that in all of the ways that make sense for folks, from little people all the way to the adults who stand in the gap with them. I think that that's important for sustainable growth and progression over time. And then do you have who is your squad? I know that I served as a single building administrator, and so I know that that work is tough in one capacity, and then I had a team of people as well. But it's always important to know that if you're a single building administrator, or you're an instructional coach, or you are an assistant principal, who are some of the people you can kind of deputize to support you when you want to continue this process of making sure teachers are thriving, young people are thriving, and you know this crises are going to happen. And so I'm going to show you some interesting ways to manage that by leveraging some folks who are in your space that maybe you hadn't even thought about. And presence is important. Just like we have our own lives, we need, in order for us to form connection and build relationship, it is important for us to also know that people see you. They hear you. They know that you are going to support them. And in today's times where teachers are making decisions on whether or not it's better to continue to serve in classrooms or become a real estate agent, right? It is important for us to really think about what are the ways we're still continuing to nurture and build relationship with people who are still on fire to serve as teachers, for those who are instructional coaches, for those who are special education staff and itinerants, for those who are community partners who are brokering their own strengths and talents in building the mental health and behavioral health supports that are all necessary for a holistic whole child view. And I also think about that for the adults we serve. And so I also know from tried and true experiences that data matters, and it speaks volumes in regards to all of the incredible work that we are designed to do. So vision. Why is vision important? I had a couple of conversations with a couple of school leaders that I'm coaching and had did some visits lately. And I asked them to really share with me, like, what is your vision for excellence? Can you tell me when we walk into classrooms today, what should we see? And one of the school leaders is a high school assistant principal, and she is got an incredible ferocity for what young people experience in class and what they will be able to do outside of the class as global citizens. And she said, well, young people should be engaged in conversation. We should see that the teacher is moving about the space, and we should see some level of connection where teachers and students are talking, but mostly the students are talking. And so we walked through the class, we walked through about 10 to 12 classes. And what we found, interestingly enough, was that when we visited 12 classrooms, probably three of them were actually executing on the vision she had laid out, which was there was teacher and student engagement. There was actually student work, like there were samples of work that they were actually tangibly doing. And we also saw Yes. Then we also saw that two teachers actually had some type of evidence of planning in hand. And so when we got back to do a debrief, I asked her what was her initial thinking about this. Because yes, Monica, I agree with you. it's good when you know that students are eager to engage, that you have teachers who are really enthusiastic about how they're instructing, that students are actually engaged in robust, rigorous learning. And we even got to a conversation about rigorous, which I find to be a national conversation, right? And how are we making those connections to the real world? So I think, Monica, thank you for sharing that in the chat. When we got back to debrief about it, she had a lot of thoughts about, wow, okay, we only saw such a small percentage of people who were doing the thing we wanted them to do. And so we continue the conversations, and I'm going to share some of the actual supports I offer to her as a way of moving that vision forward, since we're in October. And for my other colleague, or the other wonderful coach I'm working with, she is coming from a clinical perspective, a mental health perspective. So from that student support lens, she has a great strength in that as an expert. But now she's going to be serving as an instructor who is also going to be giving feedback on day-to-day instruction, the academic, progress that's happening in today's classrooms. And so she found herself uh, connected to the students and staff because she's had a long-standing relationship, but she didn't have a vision for what instruction looks like because she's never went into a classroom with that viewpoint. And so I'm going to share with you some things that I share with both of them and some of the other school leaders I have an opportunity to coach and support, as promising practices. They may not work for you, or they may work exceptionally well. But nonetheless, I'm hopeful that you can garner some small gems again that will be value add to your experience. One of the things that I love about this quote here, a teacher's job is to take a bunch of live wires and see that they are well grounded. Is our young people come with so many magnificent things about them, but they come with a level of energy and tenacity about the world they live and grow in. And some days aren't great. Some behaviors manifest and are very demonstrative and slow down learning, and you're doing a lot to collaborate to make sure young people get what they need. And so think about today's teachers who are managing all of these different behaviors, all of this energy, and they're still expected to have students make progress over time. So we have to extend grace, but we also have to be very clear about what it is we're holding young teachers accountable to, and what is being held accountable when it comes to the young people who are in today's classes. So I'm sharing a real example from one of the communities I've led, and I'm in Massachusetts for those who are wondering. And so this is going to come from a Massachusetts perspective, but I think that the context here will be important for everyone. And so what we found is when I looked at the data from the year prior, I literally just kind of said, how are we doing in these key areas of our state assessments, which are called MCAS, our end of unit assessments that are done by the district. When we look at our open response writing, because we need to write across all content areas, and they need to be interdisciplinary, as well as we looked at a tool called Illuminate, and Illuminate is very similar to like ANET or formative, or any formative assessment platform that you use. We use a tool called Illuminate, and so for us, we had to really posit, how were students performing? How did they respond to all of the instruction that was happening in the classrooms? And what we needed to do is connect those to teacher actions and student outcomes. So if the teacher does these things, this is what we're anticipating that students will be able to do based on really great research that we have been studying for a while around student engagement, student achievement, as well as teacher engagement and teacher advancement. And so, as you can see, we looked at not only the academic data, but we also looked at climate data. So if you look at the bottom, we talk about social emotional learning, which is SEL, and PBIS, which is positive behavioral intervention systems. And so one of the things that's interesting about our data is we had 31% of our staff that said, hey, this is not a good place to teach and learn. 69% of the staff said, hey, there are inconsistencies in expectations and consequences for student behavior. And 62% of the staff believe that the interactions between students and adults are actually respectful. So we found that when we looked at this data as an instructional leadership team, it was so glaring that we created an action plan. And so what we figured is what you see on the left side is all of the incredible opportunities for teachers. So if teachers are creating and delivering tasks that will improve and focus on evidence-based writing and responses in all kinds of areas, we're all going to do this. The PE teacher, the science teacher, classroom-based teachers, everyone is going to focus on this because we want to make sure our students are writing about what they're reading and experiencing. Then when we use this term called aggressive monitoring, and that is a tool that comes from Uncommon Schools. And so this means that teachers have their lesson plan or evidence of planning in hand. They're actually walking around and monitoring student performance. So they're looking at do nows, they're looking at exit tickets, they're giving feedback, and every student and every learning period is getting some level of written feedback on what they're doing that's connected to the learning target in the space. And then we want to make sure that teachers were actually facilitating learning through the approved curriculum tools that we decided as an instructional leadership team with fidelity. We found that if the teachers who were lagging in regards to their scores and performance were actually following the cadence of the instructional curriculum that we were using, even if they felt like, hey, we're a day behind, we're 2 days behind, if they would have followed that scope and sequence, we would have potentially seen some different outcomes. And we also had to figure out how are we going to partner with our student success partner and really think deeply about how do we broaden student culture and student behavior, as well as how staff members feel about being in the space. And I welcome some of the new folks who are on, whether or not you're on YouTube, you're on LinkedIn, whether or not you're here in the Zoom room. So I want to give you some thoughts. Thank you for joining us today. So as we continue, some other things that I found interesting, as you can see, just grounding this again in data, this data on the right side actually came from what we call the Insight Survey. Insight Survey is from TNTP, again, TNTP, and you could check them out. And so we actually have staff, the district had the staff actually rate the quality of instruction and instructional leadership of the community. And here is some of the statistics that teachers shared. Here's what the teachers said about their experiences. 46% of staff said they didn't have an opportunity to discuss feedback. 62% said they had an opportunity to receive support. So the question is, what happened with the other 38%? And actually, 1 out of every 2 staff said that their evaluator followed up consistently to see how successfully they implemented the feedback. And so as you can see, this is not great data, but this is probably at the norm of what we are seeing today's administrators doing if you look at research on teacher observation and practice. And so what we made a decision to do is not just me, because even though I was a single building administrator, this responsibility is actually for everyone in the community. And so what we wanted to do is make sure we provided more timely observation feedback in 24 to 48 hours, as well as making sure that professional development actually demonstrated what effective teaching practice looked like. And so we aligned this to instructional look fors. This was our instructional look fors for the year, and it was posted in every space. Teachers had an opportunity to hear from the instructional leadership team on this is what we're looking for, because we think this will change the course of academic performance in the class. And so this focused on students receiving on-the-spot assessment feedback, learning targets are posted, learning and language. So for our multilingual learners, making sure they actually had language learning targets on the board as well. That it was very clear about the kind of instructional routines that were happening in the classroom, that students were actually being asked higher level questions and engaged in higher level rigorous tasks, and that we worked and worked and worked hard to get teachers to a place of feeling comfortable with ratcheting up the Bloom's taxonomy. So How do we actually do this work? How do we turn the tide? We made sure that for teachers that they knew that we do walkthroughs that were 3 to 5 minutes in duration. They happen 2 to 3 times a day. So literally, I bring my phone, I walk through classrooms, and what we found was teachers knew that I was coming to look for learning targets. I was looking at do nows. I was just kind of checking the general energy of the space. And for students who I knew were high flyers, I because we had talked about it in student success, I knew how to catch them first thing in the morning to kind of help them to bring that energy down and get them focused, or having them partner with someone from the staff like my director of family engagement, or maybe a paraprofessional or a teacher associate who would be able to help them manage through what was happening in the morning. And so everyone knew that they were committed to every student in the school, and they were very happy to be supportive, to say, hey, I could take so and so for a minute. They can help set up breakfast for my pre-K kids, and then they can come up because they look like they're, a little a rough and tumble, you know. So we made sure we had learning targets because that's what I look for, anchor charts, and again, do nows. What do you have in front of you? Teachers knew observations were 10 or more minutes in duration, and that focused on student engagement, student work product, how teachers and students were leveraging the exemplars, as well as detailed notes in my observations. And both of those were scheduled in my day. Teachers knew that these were the standards for the Massachusetts Educator Framework, so they knew that there were no ahas. Teachers knew this is the feedback. This is where they're going to get feedback on these particular standards. And when you click on the hyperlink, it takes you to videos and resources support that focus on that standard and that instructional look for. That was very clear that teachers said, if I know a model of what you're expecting, if you can point me to videos, if you can point me to a colleague who's doing this work, can you point me to sample activities and lessons, then I know what you're talking about. And when we talk about it in common planning time, or we're talking about it instructional leadership time or professional development, I know I have a better sense of what you are meaning by these standard practices for teachers. And I started very much in the beginning, probably with the first 6 to 8 weeks, just basically giving feedback that said, "Hey, I appreciate the fact that you have learning targets on your board. I will put this. I literally created 100 of these raindrops because we were a bucket filling school, and I create this raindrop and share, hey, you're on target with your learning targets, right? And I only gave them feedback again on the things that we said were very important of that time. And the teachers knew the cadence of when we were going to get there. Also, I took photos. So I took photos of the students at work and their student work product. I didn't take pictures of the teachers. We wanted to focus on the student and what the student was doing. And I also tried to capture what students said in practice so that it would actually complement the observations that were happening. Again, this was a walkthrough that could have been also this could have been an observation. This one was an observation. The one on the left was a walkthrough tool. I also know that many schools and communities have different tools that they use for observation and feedback. And so we have a system, but I actually created a Google form. That Google form was made it easy for me to actually take it with me on my phone. I didn't have to have my computer. And I literally was able to create a form that when I did the observational feedback, I could share it before I walked out the classroom. I was always committed that I would not leave a classroom and not submit the data. And so I created a Google form where I could attach photos of what was happening in the classroom, audio, courtesy of Google, a voice note app that I have, and I attached it and I sent it. And so teachers always got a PDF or an email of that observation right when I was leaving. And so when I saw some promising practices, I put it in what I call the Martin memo because I wanted to promote and crowdsource and I wanted to be an influencer, right? There's no one in a building who, as a teacher, does not actually want to do well and thrive, and they want their leader to see them as exceptional. And so what I found is I went on I had 25 staff members at one campus, I had 100 at another. And so I made it my business to say if I see something positive or promising, um, even if it's like I'm just wanting you to know I see you, that I would make sure that I actually took a photo of that work and presented it and preserved it in a marked memo and shared like how many people are actually on board. And and what we heard was this the Mark memo keeps me focused on what the look fors are in content areas. One teacher says I enjoy student and teacher work best practices, and another teacher said, "Hey, I like how teachers are recognized on how they're implementing the look fors. The student work samples and anchor charts are great to include because it gives everyone a chance to see what is going on in classrooms and that they may not get a chance to see if they don't visit." And so you're like, Craig, how in the world did you get all of that stuff done? Well, ask myself, well, who can be trained and paid to manage student crises, parents, and bosses, and the boss when they walk in? And for me, my Avenger Squad was my secretary, my director of family engagement, and a substitute teacher. So when crises and things came up, because they knew my vision, they knew my schedule, they knew what needed to be done. They were the ones that met families when they walked in the door. They also met my boss when she came in, and it was show they knew we're gonna give her a tour. She get to go see some of the things that are part of the work, and I will get to her and support her. But it was also allowing me to make sure I fulfilled what teachers said. They wanted to see me in their classrooms and supporting them. And so that meant that I had to free up my calendar for my secretary, my director of family engagement to be able to plug in times on my calendar so I had open spaces that said open for parent meeting, parent call. This is an opportunity for people to visit. So they had my calendar. And if parents wanted to wait, they could. They just got locked in by my secretary or by my director of family engagement. And so what I spent my time doing with this team is showing them like, here's how much time I'm spending on instruction. Who am I actually spending time seeing? And I also spent this time talking with my boss about it. And I shared this with the staff like, hey, here is where we are from an instructional perspective. They wanted to know that Mr. Martin is not just sitting around kicking it and eating and playing with the kids. I shared this data regularly so they could actually see how was the time being spent on instruction, because then when they saw it, they were like, wow, okay, he is around in classrooms, he's showing us photos, he is highlighting us, he's pointing people in our direction, he's offering resources, he's sending people to professional development outside of the building. And so sharing that gave a sense of transparency that they could begin to trust that I am invested as a principal, as a single building administrator, but I'm also for those who are in partnership with me as my director of family engagement, my secretary, that this is some of the responsibilities that come with it. And they knew how they could support because I was able to activate them. Something that you'll notice if you ever take time to look at Google Workplace is on the left side. If you don't have Sam, you can actually look at time insights. Who are you spending your time with? And it can kind of show you time insights. So check out Google Workplace. It is a great tool. If you have the workplace component, if you just have a general, like your own account, personal account, you may not see this, but if you have a workplace account, you'll definitely see this tool. So I'm at the end of my time. And I know it's been short, but I do have a couple of things to give away. So again, from my perspective, I just want to share with you that the 4-step transformation process is focused on vision, squad, presence, and data. If you want, you can actually download this new leaders toolkit. It has a lot of these tools and strategies that are shared today that could be very much helpful to you. If you don't have time to actually scan this now, I will send a follow-up email for all attendees so you can actually get this toolkit. And I promise you, I've heard that it's been very supportive to new school leaders and those who are instructional coaches. And if you are interested in a free coaching session, thank you for joining us today. You can scan this. It will take you to the discovery call link. And I'm willing to give you time to actually work through a problem of practice. Like, what is it that you're hoping to strengthen in your own practice? Or what would you like to just think through? And please take advantage of that. Again, I'll send this information following this call.
But I want to thank you so much for investing 30 minutes of your life here. I hope that what I shared today is value add to your own experience, and that I also can be a thought partner with you as you continue to move your school forward in any and every way that matters to you. Thank you so much for your time today. And for those who are in the Zoom, I'll pause for a moment so you can actually have some time to just chat with me before we close. And for those who are on Zoom, sorry, on YouTube and Facebook, it's been great. I appreciate you all. I send you love. All right. So let me do. I'm gonna stop sharing. All right, all right. So for those who are still in the space, um, I will go ahead and check in with you and see how things are going. I cannot hear you, Miss Clark. But you have my phone number and you can also reach out to me. So it is all good.
Gosh.
Okay. Well, it's okay. So go ahead and just reach out to me on the side. Oh, there you go.
You know,
All right.
you still can't hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Hi, friend.
Hello, hello.
Um, that was great. I missed the code though for the call.
Oh, okay. Let me share that with
I
you
got the
now.
toolkit, but I missed the code for the call.
Okay. I will share that with you in a second.
I'm also taking selfish privilege. What I'm trying to know about the conference, the proposal, the presentation.
Oh, yeah, working on finalizing that now. So I will have something back to you and others this evening. Just
Oh,
trying to format all the things. And there are some people who have very specific things that they're asking and looking for from like a timing perspective, but I will get that to you, I promise.
okay. I'm so excited that your summit was amazing. I'm so sad I missed it. It looked so awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, we are gonna have another one. So it is all good.
Congrats, congrats.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you. I got the link.
Gotcha. All right.